gonna be talking about the new NARSissist eyeshadow palette. So this, let's just go through it. The packaging on this, first of all, yes, I love it. So it's so, look at that mirrory gorgeousness. It's so sleek and clean and just beautiful. I'm a big fan. You open it up. Giant mirror, it's got the hinge, it's very travel friendly, which is always something I look for when I'm looking at eyeshadow palettes. And you've got 12 eyeshadows. The top 4 are a lot bigger than the bottom 8. They're double the size. And that's a good thing because they're definitely the more wearable, everyday kind of colors that you'll probably incorporate in a lot of looks that you use in this palette. There's no reason for like this blue to be one of the larger sizes. Another thing worth mentioning is there are 4 mattes. So a third of the colors here are matte, which I do appreciate, and I like when palettes have a nice range of finishes. I don't really like one note. I mean, I know matte ones are popular, but I do like to kind of have, you know, choices. So let's go through the colors. First shade is a nice beigey shade. It's interesting because it's a light beige, but it's more of like a muted color than I'm used to. Usually when a palette has a beige like this, it's brighter and it's a lighter color. So this is definitely more toned down. If you're as pale as I am, it's not going to work as a highlight. It'll work as a highlight for probably everyone else, which is why they made it. It works really well as a transitioning color, a light transitioning color. I used it as that today. The next shade is it's almost like the same exact shade, but with shimmer. So it's got some gold shimmer in it, but it's still that kind of muted beigey color. Then we have a cool toned brownish taupe. It's got some purple undertones and it's definitely shimmery. And then the last shade for this row is a really beautiful deep, dark, charcoaly, smoky shade. It's definitely not the darkest in any way, shape, or form. It's not the blackest black you're gonna find, but I really appreciate that because it's a very dark charcoal, but it's gonna blend out and like smoke out really nicely. I have it in the outer corners right now. So it can definitely get dark, but it's not gonna be like raccoon. You know what I mean? Next row, first color is this beautiful, bright, buttery golden shade. This has a lot of shimmer to it and will work really well as an inner corner highlight. And then we have this bronzy, shimmery copper. I have this on the lids of my eyes today. I love how it's got that like really orangey undertone to it. Next shade is another matte, and this one is a couple of shades darker than that first beigey color. It's kind of a muted purpley taupey shade. Definitely works well as a transitioning color in the crease. And then the last shade in this row is a dark charcoaly color with silver shimmer added to it. So it's almost like a couple of these colors remind me of other colors in the palette, but with shimmer or with something added. So it kind of reminds me of this shade, but with a lot of silver shimmer added to it. Okay, bottom row. First color is really interesting. It's like a muted bluish. It's got brighter blue shimmer in it, but it's not gonna show up very bright, if that makes sense. I have a little bit of it in the inner corners. Not really inner corners, but the lower lash line. The next shade was the one that surprised me here just because it's very, very bright. It's almost like a navy / a cobalt color. This one, the pigmentation was okay. It's not super, super pigmented, but I kind of like that because if it was a very, very pigmented blue, I think it would scare a lot of people. I have it on the lower lash line and it really honestly almost applies like black. It doesn't really, it has just a little bit of a bluish tone. You can see in the outer corners a little bit more than anything that it does have a bluish tone, but it's not overwhelming at all. The next shade is interesting and hard for me to describe. I'm like, what are you? It's like a cool toned, has some silvery taupiness, it's shimmery. It's pretty. And then the last shade is almost like a very, very, very dark bluish black with silver sparkle. So overall, I think that this palette is really cool. I like that it has different finishes. It's got different sized eyeshadows. I think that you can get a lot of use out of this and it could be a really good everyday palette. I think it would be great to travel with just because you've got a lot of things that you could use on an everyday basis and make a lot of different looks with. And I like that it has different undertones and it's a nice well-rounded palette. I think the packaging is just perfect. I love the mirror. I mean, I will mention that like this is just from me holding it. I just took the cover off of it and you can already see smudges. So I guess perfect is not the right answer. I think it looks really cool, but yeah, that's gonna happen rather quickly. I mean, that's literally just from holding it open for you guys. Let me know what you think think. I'll have more information where you can get it, prices, all that stuff in the description bar below. I do like it, and I used it for my look today. I've got this orangey one on the lid. I've got a little bit of this guy on the outer corners. This guy is in the crease. The blue is on the lower lash line. I've got a mixture of these two in the inner corners. They don't have names. It's just like 1 through 12 is their name, so, you know. But let me know what you think, if you're going to pick it up, if it's cool, if it's boring, your thoughts. And I will see you. The next video is going to be a review on the NARSissist Cheek palette. So make sure you check that out, and I'll see you later.